In the 1980s, Christmas wasn't just a holiday. It was an event, a full-spectrum sensory overload of sights, sounds, and smells that somehow felt both magical and slightly over the top, even at the time. People today might prefer streamlined, minimalist celebrations with LED lights and streaming playlists. But back then, the season was defined by traditions that were enthusiastically embraced, only to quietly fade away as tastes changed and technology advanced. Some of these customs were charming in their excess, others practical in a pre-digital era, and a few were, well, questionable by modern standards. Yet they all contributed to that distinctive 1980s holiday vibe, one that many remember fondly, even if certain elements make us cringe a little now. One of the most iconic rituals was the arrival of the thick holiday catalogs, those doorstop-sized tomes from Sears, J.C. Penney, and especially the Sears Wish Book. Families would gather around the coffee table, flipping through hundreds of glossy pages filled with toys, clothing, appliances, and everything in between. Kids armed with markers or pens would circle their dream gifts: Cabbage Patch Kids, Transformers, or the latest Nintendo games, while parents subtly noted the more realistic options. It wasn't just shopping, it was an evening activity, a way to build anticipation without the instant gratification of online browsing. These catalogs were so central that tearing out pages or dog-earing corners became a subtle form of negotiation. Today, with apps and websites delivering recommendations in seconds, the tactile thrill of poring over a physical book feels almost quaint, a relic of slower-paced holiday planning. Decorating the home was another hands-on affair, often starting right after Thanksgiving or sometimes sneaking in a bit earlier, much to the chagrin of purists who insisted on strict no decorations before December rules. Artificial trees were gaining popularity for their convenience, but many still opted for real ones, hauling them home tied to the roof of the family station wagon. Once up, the tree became a canvas for multicolored lights, those big, hot bulbs that could singe your fingers if you weren't careful, and heavy strands of tinsel draped with precision, or sometimes in chaotic handfuls thrown from across the room. Spray snow from aerosol cans was a staple, turning windows into frosted wonderlands and trees into heavily flocked masterpieces, complete with that unmistakable chemical scent. Porcelain ceramic trees with tiny plastic bulbs that lit up from inside sat on mantels or side tables, casting a soft, multicolored glow. Garlands wrapped around banisters, jelly-like window clings stuck to glass doors, and electric candles flickered in every window. It was all about maximum sparkle, and the result was a home that looked like it had been dipped in holiday cheer, perhaps a bit gaudily by today's subdued standards. Food traditions leaned into convenience and indulgence, reflecting the era's love for processed treats and mall culture. Hickory Farm's gift baskets, with their summer sausage, cheeses, and mustards, were ubiquitous at offices and family gatherings, often picked up from those seasonal kiosks that filled shopping centers with irresistible smells. Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes, introduced in 1985, became an instant hit, those vanilla cakes shaped like trees, coated in white icing with green sprinkles. They were cheap, portable, and perfectly portioned for snacking while watching TV. Malls themselves were holiday hubs, where families shopped amid animatronic displays and Santa photo setups. Grabbing a soft pretzel or orange Julius while browsing was part of the experience, and those Hickory Farm samples were hard to resist. Television played a massive role in shaping the season's atmosphere. Without streaming, holiday specials were appointment viewing, announced in the TV guide that everyone checked religiously. Classics like A Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and Frosty the Snowman aired once or twice, so missing them meant waiting a whole year. But the 1980s added new ones. Garfield's Christmas Special, with its cozy family vibes, Claymation Christmas Celebration featuring quirky California raisin-style animation, or even oddities like He-Man and She-Ra, a Christmas special where muscle-bound heroes learned about the true meaning of the holiday. Families often recorded these on VHS tapes, building homemade collections complete with the original commercials intact. Those ads for Folgers coffee, with Peter coming home for Christmas, Coca-Cola polar bears, though the iconic ones peaked later, Hershey's Kisses ringing like bells, or Norelco razors gliding over snowy hills. Commercials were part of the charm, hyping toys and gadgets in ways that feel endearingly earnest now. Music set the soundtrack, blasting from cassette players or booming car stereos. Band-Aids, Do They Know It's Christmas? In 1984 kicked off a wave of charity singles, with its all-star lineup raising awareness and funds. Wham's Last Christmas became an instant perennial, its synth-pop melancholy perfect for heartbreak amid the cheer. Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time brought quirky synthesizer vibes, while the Pretenders' 2,000 Miles offered a poignant take on missing loved ones. Mannheim Steamroller's electronic reinterpretations of classics provided atmospheric background for decorating, and albums like A Very Special Christmas, starting in 1987, featured artists like Run DMC with Christmas in Hollis, or Bruce Springsteen belting out Santa Claus is Comin' to Town. Radio stations flipped to all Christmas formats, and mixtapes of favorites circulated among friends. Gifts reflected the decade's toy crazes and gadget boom. Cabbage Patch Kids caused literal riots in stores in 1983, with parents scrambling for those soft-faced dolls complete with adoption papers. Transformers, Robots in Disguise, dominated boys' lists, morphing from vehicles to heroes. My Little Pony galloped in for girls, colorful and collectible. Teddy Ruxpin, the animatronic storytelling bear, amazed with his moving eyes and mouth synced to cassette tapes. Glow worms glowed softly for bedtime comfort, while Care Bears promoted sharing and caring with their belly badges. The Nintendo Entertainment System revolutionized gaming in the mid-'80s, turning living rooms into arcades. Even Garbage Pail Kids cards offered a gross-out counterpoint to sweeter trends. Adults exchanged practical gadgets like Walkmans for personal music or early camcorders to capture family moments. Fashion added its own flair. Ugly Christmas sweaters weren't yet ironic. They were just bold, with reindeer, snowflakes, and pom-poms knitted by relatives or bought off the rack. Big hair, shoulder pads, and neon accents sometimes crept into holiday outfits for parties. School concerts featured kids in festive attire singing carols, ending with group renditions of We Wish You a Merry Christmas, before shifting toward more inclusive winter programs later in the decade. Mall Santas were a rite of passage, with long lines for photos on his lap, often resulting in tearful kids or awkward poses preserved forever. Downtown parades dwindled as suburban malls rose, but some towns still had lighting ceremonies for giant public trees. These traditions, catalog dreaming, tinsel overload, VHS recordings, charity anthems, toy frenzies, created a holiday season that felt larger than life. They were products of an era before constant connectivity, where anticipation built slowly and experiences were shared in real time. Some faded for good reasons. Safety concerns ended certain decorations, environmental awareness curbed aerosols, and digital shifts replaced physical rituals. Others simply evolved. But looking back, there's a certain warmth in recalling how enthusiastically overdone it all was. The 1980s Christmas wasn't subtle, but it was sincere, a time when the season truly felt like the most wonderful and wonderfully excessive time of the year. Of course, not everything aged perfectly. Those heavy tinsel strands shed everywhere, requiring vacuuming well into January. Spray snow left sticky residues, and those big bulb lights posed real fire hazards if strings malfunctioned. Recording specials meant dealing with tape hiss or accidental erasures. And the commercialism? It was rampant, with ads pushing must-have toys that often ended up forgotten by spring. Yet even the imperfections added character. The frenzy over Cabbage Patch Kids, for instance, led to black market markups and store brawls. Hardly the spirit of giving, but it underscored how deeply people wanted to make the holiday special for their kids. School traditions added communal layers. Classrooms turned into craft zones for making ornaments or cards, often with glitter that embedded itself in carpets forever. Holiday parties featured cookies and punch, sometimes with performances of nativity scenes or carols. The shift toward secular holiday concerts began subtly, reflecting broader cultural changes. Food extended beyond treats to meals. Oyster stew on Christmas Eve in some regions, fruitcakes exchanged as gifts, often regifted, or elaborate buffets with vol au vent and advocat for adults. Viennetta ice cream desserts made fancy appearances, sliced dramatically at the table. Outdoor lights escalated into neighborhood competitions, with roofs outlined in multicolored bulbs and inflatable figures just starting to emerge. Driving around to view displays was a family outing, hot cocoa in hand. Charity took modern forms with Band-Aid inspiring copycats, and food drives or toy collections at schools and workplaces. As the decade progressed, some traditions waned. Aluminum trees from earlier eras gave way to greener artificial ones, angel hair spun glass fell out due to safety issues, and popcorn stringing became less common with pre-made garlands. Yet the core remained: family gatherings, often with extended relatives piling into one home for gift openings on Christmas morning. Stockings first, then the frenzy under the tree. Photos captured in Polaroids or on new camcorders preserved the chaos. In retrospect, the 1980s holiday season embodied excess and earnestness in equal measure. It was a time when Christmas felt like a shared cultural spectacle, amplified by media and marketing, but grounded in homemade touches and anticipation. Modern celebrations have their own merits: eco-friendly decor, diverse inclusivity, instant access, but there's something irreplaceable about that era's unapologetic enthusiasm. Those forgotten traditions remind us how holidays evolve, reflecting society's shifts, while still aiming for that same goal: creating memories that linger long after the tinsel is packed away. Expanding on decorations, the obsession with flocking, whether DIY aerosol or pre-done, stemmed from a desire for that perfect snowy look, even in warmer climates. Pink or blue flocked trees matched bold home interiors, a far cry from today's natural greens. Window candles, often battery-powered by decade's end, symbolized welcome and warmth, a nod to older customs. TV commercials deserve deeper mention. Folgers ads evoked homecoming, with steaming coffee and family reunions. McDonald's pushed gift certificates, Toys R Us sang, "I don't want to grow up," and Atari or Nintendo hyped games that promised endless fun, though some, like the E.T. game, famously flopped. Songs like Eurythmics' Winter Wonderland or Run DMC's Rap Twist brought fresh energy, blending genres in ways that mirrored the decade's eclecticism. Toys often tied to media: G.I. Joe, He-Man figures under trees, inspired by cartoons watched Saturday mornings. Parties featured punch bowls with sherbet floats, cheese balls rolled in nuts, and fondue sets dusted off for the occasion. The mall as social hub meant caroling groups, Santa's villages with mechanical elves, and photos that became annual traditions. Even office parties were explicitly Christmas-themed, with trees and carols, before corporate caution toned them down. These elements combined into a holiday tapestry that's distinctly 1980s. Vibrant, commercial, heartfelt. They might not want us to remember the messier parts, like vacuuming tinsel for months or the disappointment when a hyped toy broke quickly, but the overall glow endures. In an age of curated perfection, there's appeal in that unfiltered festivity.